As we continue our journey through the nervous system, we're looking at the autonomic nervous system. Now, the autonomic nervous system is going to be a subdivision of the peripheral nervous system. So it kind of gives an orientation of where we're looking here. The autonomic nervous system, we're focusing on the motor output here because that's what it's doing. The motor output of the autonomic nervous system is smooth and cardiac muscle. Now, sure, you have some organs and glands as well, but think about it this way. Smooth muscle, is that voluntary control? No. Cardiac muscle, is that voluntary control? No. So we're looking at these as far as things that are not under voluntary control. So these muscles, these glands, you're not thinking about them as they're working. The whole idea is this autonomic nervous system is meant to make subtle adjustments. Keep your body working as smoothly as possible. Try to maintain homeostasis. Everything here is under subconscious control. You're not aware of it. You're not thinking about it. You don't think about your heart rate every day. You don't think about your breathing rate. You don't think about your digestion. Do you think about, I need to sweat when you're warm? No. These are all under subconscious control, the autonomic nervous system. So in this graphic, we're looking at the somatic and the autonomic nervous systems. Now, the somatic, we've dealt with it before. We've talked about it. It's a neuron innervating a muscle. We've already been there, done that. We're going to focus on the autonomic side of things here, on the two divisions, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. So those two divisions make up the autonomic nervous system. Now, if we're looking at the sympathetic first, you'll see there's two possible pathways here. Look at the first, you'll see that the preganglionic neuron is going to secrete acetylcholine. That then can be received by the postganglionic neuron. That postganglionic neuron secretes norepinephrine. We have two different neurotransmitters here. The second possibility is that preganglionic neuron again, still secreting acetylcholine, but it's being received by a gland now. This gland, in this case the adrenal medulla, is then still secreting norepinephrine. So it doesn't matter which pathway you're going through, it's still acetylcholine from the presynaptic neuron and then norepinephrine from the postsynaptic neuron or gland. But in contrast to that, notice in the parasympathetic, we still have a preganglionic neuron, and it's also secreting acetylcholine. We then also have this postganglionic neuron. But notice this postganglionic neuron also secretes acetylcholine. So in the parasympathetic, both the pre and postganglionic neurons both are secreting acetylcholine. So that's one of the structural differences, sympathetic versus parasympathetic. Which neurotransmitter is being secreted? You also have the ability in the sympathetic to go preganglionic neuron to a gland. So a few differences to start with there. And we'll definitely get into more of these differences later. So what does this whole system do? What does the autonomic system do? Autonomic, you have cardiac muscle control. Makes sense. Your heart, cardiac muscle, you're not thinking about it, it just works. It's a subconscious control. The visceral smooth muscle. Well, in the case of visceral smooth muscle, we're talking about smooth muscle that's in your stomach, is in your intestines, large and small. So this, again, is things you're not thinking about, but it helps with digestion and digestive motility. Vascular. Vascular smooth muscle is referring to blood vessels. You'll have smooth muscle around your arteries, around these major vessels. Some of the even largest veins can have some. But again, subconscious control, helping with blood pressure and movement of blood. visceral epithelia. This is going to be the inside linings of things like your stomach, small intestine, large intestines. It's inside and it basically needs to be controlled to help absorb, help with diffusion, help with secretion. So you're controlling, again, inside these glands. Sweat glands in your skin. You need to know when to sweat and when not to sweat. Now, sweating can be a great way of your body trying to cool down through evaporative cooling. But again, you don't think about, all right, turn sweat glands on or turn sweat glands off. Your body automatically does this. Now, a lot of times that's in relation to heat, but you can also sweat when you're nervous. So it's, again, your body's autonomic system is controlling sweat glands. Salivary glands, same idea. The salivary glands secrete saliva in response to your brain and thinking about food. If you're eating, you're secreting saliva. Maybe you're simply thinking about food or you see food in front of you and your saliva starts to increase. So sweat glands. Lacrimal glands. Same idea here. Just like every other gland, lacrimal glands you're starting to secrete. Lacrimal glands are in the eyes. So it's starting to secrete some tears there. The lacrimal glands. And staying with the eyes, you have the intrinsic eye muscles. Do you think move eyes right, move eyes left? No, they just happen. You think about where you want to look, and your eyes move to match where you're thinking about. Again, autonomic nervous system. You then have your respiratory passages. While breathing itself is also autonomic, the passages within, controlling their size, controlling airflow, controlling how much oxygen, how much carbon dioxide gets to certain parts of your lungs, all autonomic. And then the sexual response. Again, also autonomic. Your body responds to certain external stimuli or certain internal stimuli if you're thinking about things. So all of these are how it's being regulated, all part of the autonomic system. So back to those divisions. I already mentioned sympathetic and parasympathetic. The sympathetic, you can kind of think of it as the fight or flight. If you're in a situation that can be life-threatening, do you try to fight your way out of it, or do you take off, flight? The sympathetic nervous system usually is in emergency situations. When you're threatened, you're dangerous. The idea is it's a way of your body trying to be able to protect itself. So if you're in something that is threatening your life, all of a sudden you're out in the woods and you come across a bear, what do? Well, if you're trained for that, your train kicks in. If you're not trained for it, you might simply just completely freak out and start running away. You might all of a sudden try to become bigger and scare the bear. I mean, there's a lot of things that people can do if they don't have training for it. But the idea is fight or flight. Your whole body becomes heightened. Your heart starts racing. Your breathing rate increases. You might start sweating. Your eyesight, your hearing, all of your senses are more keen. Your body is in a heightened state to respond to the emergency. That's why sometimes you'll hear all this clarity in the moment when someone's in a life or death situation, because everything just gets shut out and you only focus on that one thing. Parasympathetic nervous system. Now, the parasympathetic is the opposite of the sympathetic. We're still in the autonomic nervous system, but parasympathetic is more rest and digest. Basically, your body is trying to calm down. It's focusing more on conserving energy, more on housekeeping aspects. So for example, after you eat a meal, your body needs to digest that meal. Your digestive system is working, your secretions are working there, your urinary system is filtering more, your muscles are more relaxed, your heart rate is a little more relaxed, your breathing is relaxed. So in these cases, it's when your body's trying to maintain itself, trying to work through things, just trying to keep everything in the best possible way. So we have sympathetic, fight or flight, parasympathetic, rest and digest. So a little bit about the start of the autonomic nervous system. Sympathetic, parasympathetic, and we started talking about some of the differences between the two.